Now, I can only begin by saying, first of all, a very good morning to Peter Bleksley. Peter, nice to see you.
Good morning,
Thank you for coming back to us. We've got the Channel Migrants Tracker, which is now up to 51,239. We're waiting for an update from the weekend. Migrant numbers for 2025 only have reached 27,997. We've got, you know, pretty much national protests against these migrant hotels. Still, Keir Starmer doesn't pay any attention to it. I know we're going to talk about Donald Trump, and we're going to talk about Zelensky, and we're going to talk about Ukraine. But surely the one thing that is in most people's minds this morning is, when is somebody going to stop the madness of the migrants?
In the week up to Saturday, 2,158 illegals came to the UK via dinghies in 7 days. It is astonishing.
This is since the one in, one out nonsense was purported to be the answer, right?
Very much so.
Yeah. So it's 2,135 in. How many out?
A big fat zero.
That's it. None. Zip. Nada.
Utterly appalling.
Yeah.
And it is, of course, a matter not only of national security, but it is a matter of national outrage.
It is.
And if that clown Starmer and his appalling and quite lamentable cabinet cannot grasp this, which they clearly can't, and absolutely refuse to do anything about it, because this one in, one out is just poppycock, as we know.
BS, isn't it?
Yeah. Then the anger, the unrest, the dissatisfaction, the disquiet, the rage, which is flowing through this country, is only going to increase.
Yes.
And it's come to the point now when, as I got out the car this morning to come into Talk Towers, and there was quite a wind kicking up, I was thinking, do you know what? Two things. Number one, it won't be long before I need my autumn jacket coming in the morning.
Yes.
But number two, oh, it's blowy, there might not be any dinghies today. That'd be a touch.
It's how you feel. It's absolutely how you feel. I feel the same way when the weather's good. When you wake up and you go, oh, it's rather nice today, and then you suddenly go, oh, crikey, that means there'll be about 1,000 people coming across the channel on these huge boats, which we learned yesterday only cost 350 quid. You can buy them off the Chinese internet, right? They can carry up to sort of 90 people. They're not small. They're not unsafe. None of these people are in any danger. They're all coming here like they're on a bus.
Many people contact me on a regular basis with their suggestions for how to stop it.
Yes.
Some clearly have some knowledge of maritime law.
Yeah.
And they're all saying, you know, they're coming up with pretty reasonable schemes, I think, methods by which we could halt this. We could stop this from happening.
Yeah.
But of course, as long as you've got Hermer as an Attorney General giving the government advice.
Starmer, as well, I like to call him.
Yeah, let's remember him, Starmer's old human rights lawyer chum, who's now the Attorney General.
The man who likes to represent Sinn Féin, likes to represent Hamas, likes to represent, you know, terrorist organisations.
Shamim Begum, people like that. All that kind of stuff. Really has the country's best interest at heart.
Definitely.
As opposed to lining his wallet.
No, that wouldn't be right.
No, couldn't possibly suggest that, could we? No, that would be totally outrageous.
Yeah, absolutely not what we're saying at all.
Yeah. So as long as you've got him as the Attorney General, and you've got Starmer, and let's all, forgive me people for reminding you, a human rights lawyer himself once upon a time. Yeah. And you have these weak-willed people who will not challenge the European Convention and European Court on Human Rights, will not challenge those, will not stand up, will not say, in the name of national security, this is an emergency, therefore we don't care what anybody in Europe thinks about us. We quite frankly will challenge everything in the courts. We are putting a stop to it.
Yes. That's what needs to be said. It really does. But of course, he's put it all on the back burner because guess what? He's now got an excuse because he goes, oh, don't worry, I've got to scurry off to Washington to bore the arse off everybody with the way that I speak. I mean, have a look at this, right? This is Starmer speaking at the White House. There was a leaders' meeting where they're all sitting around the table. You've got Ursula von der Leyen, you've got Giorgia Meloni, you've got Emmanuel Macron, you've got the leader of Switzerland, who's some bloke called Dud, I think. I don't know why. But have a look at this. I mean, this is literally, this will bore you to death.
Mr. Prime Minister, Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting us here. Can I start where Emmanuel started, which is we all want peace. The war in Ukraine has had a huge impact, particularly on the Ukrainians who've borne the brunt of it, but it's also had an impact on Europe and on the United Kingdom. There's not a family or community that hasn't been affected. And when we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue. I think this is such an important meeting. As a group, I think we've had a discussion on the phone a number of times, Mr. President, but be able now to be around the table to take it forward. And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress, particularly on the security guarantees, and your indication of security guarantees of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees fits with what we've been doing with the coalition.
You see J.D. Vance sitting behind him just going...
And Marco Rubio.
He said much more of this.
Yeah.
You know, he said nothing. He's literally said nothing, as having spoken for about a minute. He said nothing.
I commend anybody who managed to stay awake during that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I can do one, right, for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President, for inviting us here. We've done so much so far. It's been brilliant because we've been able to, you know, put together a plan which will be fantastic going forward. And what we can do is set out a framework for where we can go after this, onto the next time that we. It's just ridiculous. What's he just wastes. I mean, if he was charging by the hour like lawyers do, you can see why he would talk like that, right? That's why he does, because lawyers will charge you for every 15 minutes they do any work, right? And what's a complete plonker? I said, Rodney! Yeah. It's like, he's in the White House, make your point, sit down, shut the hell up, and move on. He doesn't even know any of that.
These people who can use 1,000 words and say absolutely
nothing. Yeah. Going forward, thank you, Mr. President. And again, going forward. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, an immediate switch off. Just the minute he opens his mouth, switch off, because you know it's just going to be A-grade drivel.
Yes. More disturbingly, however, my crack team of investigative journalists have discovered that in a second speech that he made after the event, right, he's speaking to camera, he appears to have some kind of cold sore on his lip. Right. I know that might be considered trivial by other stations, and they may not highlight it. I don't think they'll be doing this on Sky. But have a look at this.
We had two material outcomes. The first, on the question of security guarantees, was the agreement that the coalition of willing countries, that's 30 countries already working together on security guarantees, will now work with the US on those guarantees, coordinating, and we have already commissioned our teams to do the detailed further work on that. That's really important for security in Ukraine, for security in Europe, and for security in the United Kingdom. The other material outcome was the agreement that will now be a bilateral agreement between President Putin and President Zelensky. That was after a phone call between President Trump and President Putin during the course of this afternoon, followed by a trilateral, which will then add in President Trump.
Again, he's saying absolutely nothing, right? He's managed to describe a phone call. But what's going on with his lip? Why has he not covered that up, right? One. Two, did his wife slap him, punch him? Has he got an injury from some kind of activity that he's been involved in, or does he just have a cold sore, which many of us have had in the past? But if you're on broadcast television, you cover it up.
And as a responsible broadcaster, I couldn't possibly condone violence of any description.
That would be wrong.
Unless it's in the boxing ring. But did somebody, on behalf of the nation, give him a split lip?
Well, I mean, that's what it looks like he's got. He's got a split lip. He's got right here, he's got a great big split in his lip. Now, it's either a cold sore or somebody's punched him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not a good look, is it?
And clearly the journalists that were interviewing him yesterday didn't have the courage to ask him.
Not one of them.
Yeah.
This is the problem with journalism in this country.
Yeah.
I would, because I'd be putting my hand up going, excuse me, Prime Minister, can you tell us what happened to your lip?
Yeah.
That'd be my question.
Indeed.
I mean, in all fairness, in transparency and all of that we like to see from our leaders, could you tell us what happened to your lip?
Put him on the spot.
Yeah.
Ask the questions. He's the leader of the nation.
Put the spot on the spot.
Indeed.
You know, because there's only one or two ways you can get something like that.
Yeah, some of which are rather unpalatable.
Some.
And perhaps we may not need
we
to go there.
We can't go there, no.
No, we really
That
shouldn't.
would be wrong.
Yeah.
That would be wrong.
Entirely.
To suggest that.
Entirely.
But he's on in the international stage. He's not just talking to Britain, he's talking to the world here. He's in a room with Donald Trump. He's apparently sorting out Zelensky in Ukraine, which of course he's not doing, because none of them are. And some of the things that you can watch when they're all sitting around the table is Georgia Maloney, who looks absolutely petrified every time Starmer speaks. You also J.D. Vance, as I say, over his shoulder, who looks like he'd rather be anywhere but there listening to this crap. You know what I mean?
He'd rather be getting blanked at restaurants in the Cotswolds,
he would,
wouldn't he?
absolutely right.
Yeah.
But what an absolute crock of nonsense this is, this whole Ukraine scenario, because at the end of the day, Trump is sort of entertaining them because he feels like he might as well. But actually, he can't. I think the reason he's got them all there is he quite likes pulling all the strings and going, you know, if I do that, what are you going to do over there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or did, and of course I have no insider information whatsoever, did Starmer have a few light ales one night as he was trying to drown his sorrows about how appallingly he's running this country?
What, you think he may have walked into
and
the
trip
door?
upstairs or something? Yeah.
That's possible. Yeah, because we've all done it. Let's face it.
And if you turn around, you know how these politicians always love to make out they are men of the people, or you know, women of the nation.
Oh yes.
Yeah? You know, like Lammy when he went fishing the other week.
What, without a licence?
Which I pointed out. I take complete
Are you taking credit for that? Brilliant.
Because last Saturday night,
fantastic.
Saturday before last night, I put a message out on X, right, and I addressed it to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office with their handle on it, and I put Lammy and Vance's handles on it, and this, that, and the other. Did they have valid rod licences when they went fishing? And of course, my masterstroke was to copy the Environment Agency into it as well. So I put him on the spot, and of course he referred himself to the Environment Agency. He's now referred himself
to the Environment Agency because he wasn't playing with his own rod.
So there you are. When they try to be man of the people, they are surrounded by such ridiculous, unworldly, stupid advisors. They don't even realise you need a rod licence when you go fishing.
In your own actual house.
Yes.
That's where he was doing it, right?
Yes.
What an absolute plank.
Yes.
Tells you everything you need to know.
And so I may be able...
Peter Bleksley. Can I herald you then as the man who actually put Lammy on the spot and has made him admit that he's an idiot?
And should he get a criminal conviction, which it is, to go fishing without a valid rod licence, I will be able to add it to my CV. And the man who got the Foreign Secretary.
And also, if it is a criminal conviction, he won't be able to go to America.
Wow.
Because you have to... I just filled out an ESTA form, right? Yeah. Because the last one ran out. And it says, have you ever been convicted of any criminal activity? Yeah. And if you have to tick the box and you don't get a visa.
I'm going to give it another week or so, then I will be following up with the Environment Agency.
And please do follow up with the American Embassy.
Because that
as well.
Yeah.
And say, you know, will you now ban David Lammy from travelling to America?
Yeah.
Because that would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine. Fishing. What an absolute plank. It's not... And also the great thing about Lammy as well was that he didn't catch anything. He sat there. Everybody else did. J.D. Vance, his kids, his family, everybody else that was associated with the American side of the arrangement, all caught a fish. Lammy didn't catch anything. Apart from what Keir Starmer's got, obviously, which seems to be going around. I don't know what it is. Some kind of herpes simplex B. I'm not saying that. It could be a cold sore, which is also herpes simplex B, by the way.
Right.
It's easy to get sometimes from just, you know, not feeling very well.
As we used to say back in the days...
Not necessarily a contact disease.
OK. Right, you seem to know an awful lot about this, by the way. But as we used to say back in the day, right, about police officers who were not very good, we'd say he couldn't catch a cold. Well, now we know Lammy couldn't catch a fish.
Yep.
And Prime Minister Starmer may be able to catch something.
Yeah, maybe.
That's all we're saying.
Let's go back to his incredibly inspiring speech to the White House. Check this out.
Security guarantees of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees fits with what we've been doing with the Coalition of the Willing, which we started some months ago, bringing countries together and showing that we were prepared to step up to the plate when it came to security, with you coming alongside, the US alongside what we've already developed. I think we could take a really important step forward today, a historic step, actually.
I mean, for God's sake. Stop. It's so boring. He can't... He's literally said nothing. You know, Captain Cold Sore. 20 minutes past 6, back after this. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 23 minutes past 6. It's still dark, which I find really, really quite disturbing. It's also as though we've moved into autumn already. Peter Bleksley's here with me. Very good morning to you, Mr. Bleksley.
Morning, Governor.
You're looking very, very resplendent in your suit and tie. We're talking about Keir Starmer, who's been at the White House yesterday, boring literally everybody to death. I can't tell you how boring his speeches have been. Should we go back and see what he's saying now?
No!
Check it out. Have a look.
Can ensure that that is the progress out of this meeting, both security guarantees and some sort of progress on trilateral meeting of some sort to bring some of the difficult issues to a head, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years in relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point, so I thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. And,
right?
you know, it's very interesting because this is the first for the war.
People are dying. People are getting shot. People are getting blown up. There are missiles going into buildings. You know, people are, you know, something like 2 million people have perished, right? And you talk about conflict or some of the difficult issues. I mean, what is wrong with him?
When Winston Churchill,
autistic bloke or something.
Yeah, when Winston Churchill said that meeting jaw to jaw is better than war.
Yes.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
That is not what he envisaged.
He's not.
It really wasn't.
No, it really wasn't. Just ridiculous. Let's have a look at old Volodymyr Zelensky, who actually managed to find a jacket to wear to go to the White House this time around. Check it out.
We live under each day attacks. You know that today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead. It's a small bomb, 1 year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. And we will do our best for this. So, and I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for trilateral, as President said. This is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good.
Look, we just spoke to, I was just telling the President, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.
So first time, actually, in terms of a news story, Volodymyr Zelensky actually says, I will meet with Vladimir Putin. So whatever you might want to say about Donald Trump, he's making it happen. You know, people might not like him, people may not like the outcome, people may not think it's a good thing that Ukraine has to give up land. You and I are not experts in the global negotiations about war and settlement.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know. You know, listen, you've dealt with the Crims in Brixton, so you know you may know more than I do.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? If they can stop the war, you know, good luck to them. Is all I know.
I've conducted some very tense negotiations.
Have you?
In Ibiza, Malaga.
Yes.
You know, many
These are dangerous places.
Many kinds of places where
These
I've tried
dangerous
to
places.
get a drink just as the bar was closing. Very delicate.
What do you mean you're throwing me out the bar?
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you?
Exactly.
You know.
But you're absolutely right when you say that it would not have got to this position without Trump's intervention.
No
and
question.
Him driving the agenda.
Yes.
They are dancing to Trump's tune in terms of the European contingent.
And even Putin. I mean, people say, oh, Putin's playing him like a fiddle. Well, Putin has still come to see him. Putin still came to the table, and he's willing to continue to sit at the table until they do a deal, which he hasn't done with anybody else.
Very true. And sadly, Putin is a monster.
He is.
And it takes a big beast to be able to sit down and talk to him.
Listen, I'm not going to pretend that I'm certainly not in support of Putin. I think what Putin's done is dreadful, ghastly, and all the rest of it. But what we can't do any longer, and I was talking to a colleague of mine just yesterday, she said, nobody says what you say. She says, you're the only broadcaster that says we are not willing to give any more money to Ukraine. We just don't want to. We've had enough. You know, we're bottomed out. We don't have any cash. And people said yesterday to me, why are we borrowing money, right, so that we can give money to another country? Why are they not just borrowing it?
We've got 2,000 illegal migrants coming across the channel every week.
There's that.
We've got to pay for them somehow, haven't we?
Exactly right. But what I'm saying is why doesn't Ukraine go to the Central Bank of Europe and ask for money instead of coming to us and asking for it?
Yeah.
What's, why are we, stuck on that particular, racket?
I mean, the state of the finances of this nation are so dire, so desperate, record levels of taxation, huge unnecessary spending on tens of thousands of people illegally entering this country, hotels, food, clothing, mobile phones, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
Bedside lamps.
A welfare bill that is so vast because some people choose to lay on their sofas all day in their joggers, claiming that they can't work, and we basically have a system that's too afraid to knock on their door and properly speak to them and find out whether they can work or not, and if they're being bone-idle skivers, saying, well, I'm sorry, the money's cut off next week. The country's finances are dire. Absolutely dire. I hear rumours.
We're on our arse, there's no question.
I hear rumours that the government might have to go to the Bank of England.
They might.
Or even the International Monetary Fund if things carry on
because
like
they can't continue to borrow money at the levels they're borrowing it without somebody at some point going, actually, we're not going to lend you more money. It's a bit like you and I in our household budget going, look, I can't afford to pay the Visa bill this week, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out another credit card just to pay the interest on the Visa card, but we can't actually pay off what we owe. That's where we are. This from, where are we? Warwick in Devon. Good morning, Mike and Peter. Great start to your show as usual. Absolute box office. Is it me, or has Stuck Farmer aged by about 10 years on the clip you showed of him talking once again complete cobblers? Well, you may well ask. I can't answer that. I don't know. Good morning, Mike and Peter. Starmer looks an absolute mess, says Sharon from Staffordshire. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that what happens when you get a cold sore is that you run down. He's obviously run down because he's not getting enough sleep. He's got plenty to worry about. Morning, Mike and Peter. Paul Gerard Yardley here from Germany. Why does Stasi Starmer say Europe and the United Kingdom? Does he not know that the UK first in Europe? Keep up the good work. And Matt in Ho says, I'm surprised Starmer didn't cover up the cold sore with a bit of lipstick. I mean, you can do it. We're all, if I had a cold sore, which I haven't had for many years, since I was a child, basically, you cover it up. You've got, makeup artists that can do that. Why hasn't he got a makeup artist that can do that? He covers everything else up. And literally he doesn't tell the truth about anything. Suddenly he's got a cold sore and he doesn't cover it up. The first thing he hasn't covered up in his life.
Yeah, I think the pressure of the job is really beginning to show. It's a very good point that's raised there. And it could well be a sign that he's run down, not coping with it. But of course, great leaders delegate. Okay, that's what great leadership is about. You delegate, you steer the ship. You will make those large, important strategic decisions, but they're based upon the information that your team brings
and you keep an eye on the team, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look after their welfare.
But look at the team
and make sure they perform. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, QPR might not have had a great start to the season, but let's face it, they're not as bad as this cabinet.
The morning was going so well until you mentioned my beloved football team.
I'm sorry.
Moving swiftly on.
I'll tell you what, I'll take your mind off it. Let's get a voice note from Andy.
Morning, Mike. It's Andy from Birmingham. Hope you're well, bud. Rumour has it in the press today that Starmer's visiting the UK for once. He needs to get back from his little jolly with his pals, sort this immigration issue out. Unlike Starmer's cold sore, this is on everybody's lips. Everybody's talking about it. They need something doing. I've got a feeling that it's really on teetering, like Peter just said, it's teetering on the edge now. Just needs sorting. We need to have some drastic action. I mean drastic, not this one in, one out. What a load of bull that is. Anyway, bud, have a great day.
Andy speaks for a nation. The people that call into this show have got so much wisdom and knowledge and just general joie de vivre about the whole country, and they can spot everything that's going wrong, and a lot of it emanating from Starmer's lips. And whether or not it's coming out of his mouth or whether or not he's got a cold sore, whatever it is, they can see what he's doing. They can see how useless he is. Apparently he cancelled his holiday or postponed it in order to go to Washington. Where's he going on holiday, do you think?
And Andy epitomises so much of what callers into this show have, which is a very sharp sense of humour.
Absolutely.
As well. And that is born only of intelligence.
Yes. British people's and their sense of humour is the only thing that keeps us going. And this is why I spend so much time ripping the mickey, for want of a better phrase, out of the Prime Minister, because it's the only place we can go without going insane, right?
Yeah.
where do you think Starmer's going on holiday? Let me ask you that. You can possibly give me some suggestions. You know what to do. 0344 499 1000, 87222 on the text, and you can find us on X, of course, at Talk TV. Coming up, we're going to talk about some ghastly gangsters. Peter's got something to say about a story you might remember from, was it last year? There was a drive-by shooting in the restaurant in sort of East London, and a little girl was killed as a result of this kind of, gunplay. They finally found the guy who's done it, and they finally sent him to prison, which is good. Also, Andy Burnham apparently has been lined up to be the new Labour leader, and we're going to find out why dry weather is causing problems for the railways. This is Talk. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 6:35. I'm Mike Graham with you all the way through until 10 o'clock. Kevin O'Sullivan in for Julie Hartley-Brewer. Peter Bleksley is here with us as well. Let's get a voice note from James.
Morning, Mike. It's James from Blackburn. They looked absolutely riveted to every word he was saying then, didn't they? You could actually see they were looking at him going, oh, shut up. And they were also going, what is that horrible thing on his mouth? Shut up. And yeah, what is that? Dirty boy.
Let's have a listen to the great speech in the Oval Office from Keir Starmer. See if you can stay awake for 20 seconds.
And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress, particularly on the security guarantees, and your indication of security guarantees of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees fits with what we've been doing with the Coalition of the Willing, which we started some months ago, bringing countries together and showing that we were prepared to step up to the plate when it came to security, with you coming alongside, the US alongside what we've already developed. I think we could take a really important step forward today, a historic step actually could come out of this meeting in terms of security.
Georgia Maloney's already played with her hair. If you're out with a woman and you're talking to her and she starts doing that and like looking away, I think you've lost the room.
There ain't going to be a second date, pal.
No, you're not going home with her. No. Simple as that. It's just hopeless, isn't he? Yeah. Hopeless.
Everybody in the room, bored witless. Everybody. What is he talking about? This word salad drivel.
Yeah. It's like typical lawyer, right? There's nothing worse than lawyers who think they're clever, who talk absolute and utter BS and spend 25 times more time than anybody else saying what is absolutely nothing.
Or, may I contend, an utterly irrelevant leader of a country who wants to try and express his importance.
Oh, yes.
So he thinks that if he speaks for quite a long time, then he will be heard. He must be important. Yes. Please, Mr. President, please, Mr. President, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. Yeah. He's like that 5-year-old.
Coalition of the Willing.
At the front of the class with his arm up to speak to the teacher. Yeah. Miss. Yeah. Please let me talk, let me be relevant and important.
But he's got nothing to say.
Yeah.
Nothing. Morning, Mike. Obviously, Lammy won't be prosecuted over the obvious oversight on some junior civil servants, says David Aberdeen. That's about the fishing that we revealed this morning. Was actually pointed out by Mr. Peter Bleksley that he didn't have a licence. Here's one from Nan in Wales. It's not a disgrace that Starmer and his posse of idiots are completely ignoring the one thing that is tipping the British people over the edge: illegals. He needs to drag his butt back here, recall Parliament and declare an emergency. If he fails to do this, he will have no chance of putting a lid on it. And that's right. People in this country don't care about Ukraine, really, right? They don't give a stuff about whether or not Russia is on our doorstep about to, invade us, because they don't believe the rhetoric. And they just want the illegals to be stopped. They want them to be deported, they want to stop them coming in, and they want to be stopped from being given all sorts of freebies in hotels at the cost of the taxpayer. Thank you very much indeed.
Yep. And the boats is only the visual and visceral and irritating side of it. The whole thing about migration in this family is actually a much bigger problem. Yeah. The people arriving on planes, the people in backs of lorries, the people who are coming here with visas and abusing them and overstaying and the such like. Yes. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in this country who should not be here. Yeah. Fundamentally should not be here.
And who need to be kicked out, quite frankly.
Exactly, because they are a massive drain on our financial resources.
And some of them are now becoming criminals, which means that when they get here, they're actually committing crime, mostly against women and girls, right?
Yes.
Which is disgusting.
Yes, indeed. And something very, very serious needs to be done about it. But you know what? There's a deeper problem that actually is, I think, is preventing governments, previous governments as well, from doing things. And that is because everybody is fearful of being branded a racist. Okay?
Do you know what? I'm not fearful of that.
Nor am I.
Neither are you.
Because, number one, I'm not a racist.
Exactly.
So it's not a problem. Call me what you like. And give you an example. Sunday, I'm in a lovely pub garden with my mate who was born, his Indian parents came here many, many decades ago. They've raised their kids, wonderful people. Sadly, his dad died recently. His mum's not very well. I do wish her well. And we're having a pint in the pub, and we are discussing, guess what, immigration, right? So my mate, born of Indian parents, brown-faced, clearly, he's as British as bacon and egg, right? Couldn't be more British. Proudly patriotic, loves this country. So much of that attitude he got from his parents, because his parents said, this amazing country took us in, gave us opportunities, we're going to love it, we're going to respect it, we're going to be part of its culture, which is just what an immigrant should do. And he's going, what is going on, Peter? What is going on? He's as concerned about all this migration as anybody else.
It's not a race thing.
It's not.
It's not a race thing.
It's a migration thing. But attached to it is the absolute truth that Britishness is being diluted all the time. Because with every boatload, with every plane load of people that are coming over to abuse visas and the such like, Britishness, British culture is being diluted bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. And that is fundamentally wrong.
It is.
And it should be preserved and it should be protected. And when you've got local councils like Tower Hamlet saying, we're taking down any Union flags, any St George's flags, this, that and the other, whilst at the same time flying Palestinian flags, shows you how deep the rot is entrenched.
Exactly right.
And how much trouble we're in. But let me tell you, the great British Mike Graham Morning Glory audience, their weapons are full of lead and they're ready. And what I mean that is our pencils. Because we do not throw bricks at police. We don't burn down hotels. We're decent, hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding members of public. And the next time an election comes round and we put our ex in the box, this lot will be consigned to the dustbin of history.
Fantastic.
What we really need is somebody fit, able, with a suitable team to knock this country back into shape.
And if they haven't ripped all of the money out of our pockets, which they're going to try and do between now and then, we will also put our money where our mouth is, I think you'll find. Let's get a voice note from John.
Morning, Mike. John from West Yorkshire here. Very concerned about the Prime Minister's bottom lip. But I just wonder, with all those people gathered together, particularly after that sort of massive man hug that he gave Zelensky the other day, whether, know what the French are a little bit more forward, whether he just went a little bit too far with his hugging in the situation with Macron. And we know what Macron's wife's right hand's like. Maybe. Who's to say? Maybe. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
John, I think I know what you're saying there. It's shockingly tragic that Starmer finds himself in the position that he's in. Mike McDonald negotiated a deal to get mineral rights from Ukraine to pay for the USA's investment in Ukraine. Why has our useless government not done the same, says Taunton Tim. Good point. Good morning, Mike and Talk. You've already accidentally found your first lie of the day. You just played a clip of Keith saying that families and communities care about Ukraine. I don't wish to be flippant, but we have enough of our own problems. Maybe our own leader should put them first, please, says Simon in Clendundo. And you're absolutely right. By the way, can I just congratulate you on that cri de coeur, your little speech there, which I think we're going to clip. We're going to put it out there because people really appreciate you for that. And people really love this station because of the things that get said, like what you just said about, this lot being consigned to the dustbin of history, because nothing could be more truthful. Nothing could please me more than to see this ghastly, horrendous, inefficient, useless, incapacitated, bloody talentless government getting consigned into a bin of some kind. Whether it's history or not doesn't really matter to me. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 6:47 very nearly. We are into the first hour of the show. It's still looking pretty dull out there. I don't know what's going on with the sun these days. It doesn't come up very soon, before 7 o'clock. Generally speaking. Scout has sent me a couple of pictures, very much appreciated, with Vladimir Zelensky wearing the same jacket that he's wearing in Washington to when he went to the Pope's funeral. So it's almost like it's a, it's not really a proper jacket. It's not like a jacket like this with three buttons and, you know, 2 lapels in the pocket. It's a sort of combat jacket. It's the sort of thing you might wear if you're going shooting or something. I don't know what he's wearing, but he wore the same outfit to go to the Pope's funeral, apparently.
Well, I think it's the kind of jacket which is popular with the youth department.
Oh, is that right?
These days. I tend to see him. I heard
he's
somebody...
not that young, Zelensky, is he?
Yeah, no, but I heard somebody, and I might be wrong here because fashion is not my strong point, but I think they're called a shacket, which is something that's a bit like a shirt and a bit like a jacket or something. Right. I think it's one of those kind of things. You know, and they've got breast pockets on the outside, haven't they? And
do you put anything in the pockets or not?
I've no idea.
Yeah. Just buy a proper bloody suit, mate, and wear a jacket and tie, and when you go into the White House, that's kind of what you should be wearing, isn't it?
Most definitely.
Sorry, he looks like an idiot otherwise. And
most
also,
definitely.
He looks like an overgrown teenager, which he's clearly not. Page 20 of the Daily Mail, BBC have spent £61,000, they say, in pin money. They've basically blown this cash on, call it out, badges, mugs and lanyards to expose work pests. Doesn't seem to be working terribly well because the place is riddled with paedophiles, sex pests and rapists.
Well, when I saw BBC spend £61,000 on mugs, I thought Jeremy Viner got a pay rise, right? But
another outing for Philip Schofield.
but actually, yes, mugs and pin badges and lanyards. Lanyards. Don't forget the lanyards.
Yeah. Do you know there's now a phrase for the lanyard class? The people who are like the ones that work at the BBC, who have literally no idea what's going on outside the office. And they just think that everybody is like them. And there's a middle class, you know, wannabes, not working for very much money, but parents have got loads of money and a big house in Fulham. And a Volvo. You know, that's kind of who they are, the lanyard class.
Yeah, but there's another breed of lanyard wearers who deeply, deeply concern me. And they are the ones who are well paid. And they work in the diversity, equality and inclusion kind of world of HR.
Well, this is kind of where some of this money's gone, apparently.
Indeed, indeed. And those people think they're so important that they wear their lanyards on the train on the way home. Because they want everybody to know how important they are.
I can't have that. I've seen that. I've seen it. And they wear them with pride, don't they? They've got the name of the company. It's not always the BBC, but it's the name of the company down the side of the lanyard. You know, like, you know.
And it's to keep us in our place. Look at me. I'm a lanyard wearer on the train, on the way home, because I am so important.
A bit like, you know, when I was
little underling.
In the old days, when I was into music a lot, and you'd get these passes that went access all areas, right, which meant you could go backstage and all the rest of it, and you'd walk around wearing it because it made you look cool. But you did it when you were about 15, you know, not when you're 25 or 35 or 45, as some of these idiots do. There's another story about the BBC. It's on the front page of the Telegraph. It turns out that the BBC ran a story yesterday about a woman from Gaza who was flown into Italy to be fixed up. She was suffering supposedly from malnutrition, but she also was suffering from cancer and leukemia, and it turned out that's why she was being taken to Italy. She died over the weekend, right? And the BBC reported that she died of starvation. Because the Israelis had not allowed her to eat, which was entirely wrong. They've had to correct it and actually say, we're really sorry about this. Turns out she actually died from leukemia.
Yes, and then they went on to...
What's wrong with them?
Yeah, and then the BBC went on to claim that they didn't know she had leukemia.
Oh, do me a favour.
Hello, you're journalists. What is the one thing that a journalist must have? A curious mind.
And also seek information.
Correct.
And we know, and because everybody knows, that the people who have been evacuated from Gaza to various countries in Europe, and they're soon to be coming here, is they're being evacuated not because they're starving, but because they're terminally ill.
Yes.
And we're trying to help them.
Yes.
And why does the BBC try and do this? Because they're anti-Semitic scumbags. That's the simple answer.
Just an oversight. We just forgot to ask, what was wrong with this woman. We just forgot to ask whether she had any underlying medical conditions, which meant she'd been evacuated to Italy. Just forgot to ask. So pumped out a load of dangerously misleading guff.
Right.
Which they
to make it look
had
as
to
though
correct.
Israel had starved this woman to death. It's absolutely disgraceful what they do. Let's get a voice note from Johnny, shall we?
Morning, Mike. It's Johnny in the van. Just a comment on Keir Starmer's cold sore on his lip. When I was growing up, my mum used to tell me that cold sores were the thing you got for lying. Just saying, mate. Keep up the good work.
Brilliant. It's true. Johnny, absolutely love it. Morning, Mike. Good Lord, put the TV on. I thought I was watching Harry Potter giving a eulogy. But no, it was boring Rodney. Great show, you pair, says Jane. Absolutely. Thank you, Jane. Shall we talk about this terrible story of the drive-by shooting in Hackney, I think it was, where a guy has now finally been found guilty of firing a gun into a crowded restaurant, which resulted in the death of a child.
Well, actually, forgive me for correcting you, Mike, but this man, 33-year-old Javon Riley, remember the name, should you ever have the misfortune to come across him. He didn't actually pull the trigger, but what he did was he acted as a spotter. Now, for decades, going back even to when I was on the Central Drug Squad at Scotland Yard, the Turks have really had a very, very firm grip on the heroin trade. Right? They used to be up at Seven Sisters Road back in the day and all of that, and it was really difficult to try and penetrate, to try and plant bugs like we used to do, to work undercover, to get phone taps and all of that. Really difficult. They ran a very, very tight ship in this illegal trade. Well, it's moved on, and basically the London, and you could almost say the British heroin trade, is controlled by two Turkish gangs, the Tottenham Turks and the Hackney Turks. And these lot do not get on. There has been a trail of bloodshed, murders, shootings across the world as they pursued
And would these
one
guys
another.
be illegal immigrants or not? Or would they be legal?
Well, funnily enough, the newspaper don't tell us that. The courts don't make that information publicly available. It would be very interesting to know, wouldn't it? It would. And if the National Police Chiefs Council guidelines of last week about police disclosing ethnicity and nationality of people, right? Yes. We might just get to find out, mightn't we? It would be very, very interesting.
Quite useful to know.
The public has a right to know.
I think so.
We surely do, and we should demand
Because
it.
let's deport these scumbags if that's what they're doing. If they're shooting bullets on our streets, which could potentially kill innocent people, I think we've got the right to kick them out of the country.
Well, talking of deportation, Javon Riley, whose name I just mentioned, 33 years old, was born in Jamaica.
Oh, yes.
So he comes over here, right, starts a career for himself as an international drug dealer. What he did was on the day of this shooting, when this poor 9-year-old girl got shot in the head, she didn't die, she's still alive, but the bullet remains lodged in her brain. She's got life-changing injuries. Life will never be the same for her. Javon Riley acted as a spotter for the gunman, because what they wanted to ensure was that the right characters were at this restaurant when the gunman came and started firing at them, because they wanted to kill their rivals. So Riley acted as a spotter, and then he helped the gunman escape. The gunman himself, that wicked man who pulled the trigger, has not yet been caught, and he's undoubtedly out there.
He's probably left the country, hasn't he?
Quite possibly. So many of them have done in recent times, and they've been murdered in other countries. If you read the article on page 5 of the Times, it's pretty gloomy and depressing, but it'll give you some kind of detail of the global reach, the levels of violence and bloodshed, and just what these people who control this heroin trade will do to protect their interests.
Yeah, horrible stuff. Let's look at front page of the Telegraph. They've got a story about Rachel Reeves, who we haven't heard from since yesterday. Apparently she's drawing up plans for a fresh raid on homeowners in the budget as she struggles to balance the books and improve the economy. She's looking at possibly putting on a property tax on whatever house you've got because she can't think of any other ways to tax us. I mean, this woman is so inept and so useless that she has stewarded our economy basically into the toilet, and she's now desperately running around trying to go, where else can I get some money from? Almost every single kind of plan of hers to bring more money into the Treasury has failed dismally in the same way that probably this one will. I was reading yesterday a lot of people saying, the new inheritance tax rules are going to hit people's pensions, they're going to hit people's houses. They're just going to get around it, and they're not going to pay the tax. She's not going to raise any money at all.
Calling all people who have worked hard all their lives, been fortunate enough to buy a property, paid their mortgage off, been responsible, kept the house or flat very nicely. She's coming after you because you had the temerity to knock your whatsits out, paying off that mortgage, and you've got a house as a result of it.
What a shocker.
Well, the socialists are at it again.
Yes. And now they're going to come after you because your house might be worth a few quid, and they decided that that's a good way of taxing you because you've got a house worth a few quid.
Yes, and they're in discussions with local councils as to whether to make this a national tax or perhaps even having a local property tax, which will raise more money for the skint councils who have been run so poorly. There is a way to vastly improve the finances of this nation, and it doesn't have to be through punitive taxation. Stop spending like Rayner did the other week, $7 grand on 2 beds. Right? And I heard a Labour advisor say, well, it wasn't her money. That's exactly the attitude. That's the problem. It's in the NHS, it's in policing, it's throughout public service.
It's not
You've
our
got
money.
these people who don't treat our money as their own. And they should do. If you're in a position of responsibility in the public sector, treat that money as if it's your money and don't waste it. Don't give it to the undeserving. Go and get them off their sofas and get them off their rear ends, get them doing something. Don't let thousands of people in a week who shouldn't be here. And don't spend money on hotels and feeding them and clothing them and giving them mobile phones and theatre tickets and all other manner of nonsense. Run the country efficiently and properly, and only the deserving get what they deserve.
There was a story yesterday, and this will enrage you even more just before we say cheerio. Apparently migrants are being offered down on the south coast half-price rentals on beach huts, which actually cost quite a few quid. But you can rent a beach hut if you're a migrant for half the price that you and I can rent it for if you want to fancy a day at the beach. Isn't that nice? This from Paul in Salford. Mike, may I say your Tuesday morning show with the great Peter Bleksley is my favourite time of the talk schedule. Please double the time you two spend together. We'd love to, but we can't afford him. We can only do an hour. Mike, good morning. Every day you make me laugh. Captain Coldsore. I think I just woke up all the neighbours with my cackling, says Hev in Kent. Captain Coldsore, I think, is going to stick, isn't it?
Very good.
Have you got a cure for a cold sore? What's the best thing to put on it?
No, I don't, actually.
No?
I've never had one, fortunately.
Really?
No.
My God.